in Plato's Republic, you have the universe revealing to him that man is a microcosm of his city and vice versa. Spiritually, on this path, we might have to get in traffic, so to speak. You may have to catch a lot of this in traffic. To catch something in traffic means that for the different needs that you have, it's going to take different streets that you have to go down, different lanes that you have to go down. Again, referencing older videos, different light angles that you have to travel down to get certain needs met and for certain utilities to function, because you are a city. You're a smaller part of a city, but you yourself, the human unit, functions like a city. And in this city are many buildings, restaurants, movie theaters, schools, and all of these things constitute as places of business. You have places of play, / recreation. You have bus stops. You have all kinds of things going on in this city. You even have trash collectors. So there's a part of you, of us, as we govern ourselves, there's a part of us that does have to take out the trash, because there are going to be things that we're going to consume, and there's going to be shells of what it is left behind. Let me give you an example of what this means spiritually. You may have started off as a Jew. You may end up as a Christian. The Jew was the shell. You consumed the Christianity within it, and then you moved on to another path. See, what it is we have the potential to wear as many shells as possible and go in and out of as many shells, but we have to make sure that we discard whatever we don't use. We just have to leave it there, because if we don't discard what we don't use, it'll take up mental space, and we'll need that mental space to be able to handle what it is that we do believe in. And we have to harness and focus all of our energy there on what we're trying to actually accomplish, rather than on just what we know. So we want it to be actionable, the information. But this is going to cause us a lot of times to get in traffic, because if you don't get in traffic from a mental, spiritual, evolutionary perspective, what's going to end up happening is you're going to end up putting yourself on house arrest, spiritual house arrest. No one can come in this temple. We've always done it this way. This is how my people before me done it. And this is a tradition I'm trying to keep, because this is what our people did. It's good to secure what we would consider a sense of culture through our ancestry. That is good. However, there's nothing wrong with learning things outside, or at least taking on information and being cognizant of the different kinds of systems that are out there. But if you find yourself coming across these and the stuff that does not resonate with you, you would be best to discard it. You don't want to be carrying around something that you don't believe in if it's going to swap out and take the place of what you do believe in. It's almost like saying, don't be anti-war, instead be pro-peace. It's all about how the energy swings. If you're anti-war, and I said this in older videos too, if you're anti-war, you'll end up creating war. You'll be on the same street without knowing it. You'll be on house arrest. So in order to evolve, it's gonna involve you getting in traffic. It's gonna involve you getting in traffic. It's gonna involve you taking different side streets. Sometimes on the information level, you have to get on a highway. Sometimes you have to get on a side street. Sometimes you have to get on a main street. And when it's too much for you, you can always pull over and park and just let the information and let the experiences sit with you until you can make sense of it. But either way, the human unit is a city. And just like all cities, you don't want to ruin your self-governance with politics, with scandal, with dilapidation, with destructive energy, and you don't want to hoard. Let everything that you are have space to live. Let every aspect of yourself have that necessary space to live, to exist. Because in order to get a mental need, met, you may have to travel down Islam. In order to get an emotional need met, You may have to travel down a street known as Buddhism. But parts of you, just like every organ in your body is not in the same spot in the body, and just like the blood travels through different veins, and just like lightning forks in different routes, there's different paths to life. But all of it is life. No matter what the path, you can find the life in it. Even what is considered the evil path, you can see it and transmute it and redirect those energies. For instance, you have alleged and even to a big extent proven entities that are involved in the slaying of children. That principle is evil. But what is not evil is taking the words themselves and for you defining it as whatever part in you fails to mature, that part within you has to be slain. See how you're safe when you don't throw what you believe and how you believe on people? It ends up being no harm done. No danger of violations. No danger of stepping over somebody's space and bulldozing them. No danger of affecting anybody negatively based on what you perceive and what you receive internally. Because that's how a city works. You don't want to be the person who's running the Carter. You don't want to be Nino Brown in your city because you see what can happen to a city. And when you dumb down your inner self-governance and when you dumb down, so to speak, all of your chakras, what's going to end up happening is who you are as a person is going to be run down. It's going to be dilapidated. And there will be other people who have higher levels of magic and mentalism over you who will end up liquidating you. It will end up overrunning your city. They'll change your governor. They'll change your mayor. They'll end up changing your officials. They'll end up changing your entire city. They'll end up gentrifying you. Do you want to be gentrified? Do you want to be spiritually put on Section 8? Yes, it's going to be cheaper, but on the long run, in the long haul, when you need certain repairs done within yourself, you want top-notch information, and you're going to be the sole determinant on what that high-quality information is. But you have to govern your city because you are a city. You have to govern your city. Nobody's going to govern your city. Leave it up to organizations to govern your city solely, and you'll just be left with giving 10%. You have to have your own thoughts, and you have to have your own perspective. You have to finally have the grand conclusion within yourself with all information that you take in. That's why we always talk about resonating. Some things you may have to resign from. There might be a resignation that leads to the resonation or the resonating of something else. You may have to leave something to enter another. So again, there's the landfill concept again. You can't keep everything in your city. After you have eaten the food, you see that you can't eat the container. You have to discard the container. And on certain days, that has to be picked up. Trash doesn't get picked up every day. So we're not always talking about negative stuff every day because the trash man doesn't come every day. You see how the city runs? This city known as self? The trash isn't running every day. So, and there are dumpsters. So it's not like, everywhere there's not where you have to bring your trash to the curb and let the whole world know you have trash. You don't have to say, I'm not a perfect person. Or, I come from a jaded past. It's already known that none of us are perfect. And that's actually what makes us perfect. Because the fact that we are imperfect is so normal that it is acceptable and okay. But we are entities who strive for perfection. These are not contradictory statements. To strive for perfection, you'll never be ultimately perfect. And that's ultimately perfect because that means you can be infinitely expansive. But in order to find out these things, you're probably more than likely going to have to get in traffic. There's stop signs in your city. A stop line, you have to know where to stop. You got traffic lights in your city, right? Because people will get crashed if they're all moving on the wrong color. Nobody moves if we're all on the root chakra. Somebody got to be green. Somebody has to see when we're transitioning between green and red. If we're on the green, whatever, green is the color of life. If you're going from appreciating life to being more focused on survival, which is red in the root, there's gonna be a yellow in between. There's gonna be an enlightening. There's gonna be a yellow. There's gonna be sunlight in between that space on the traffic light. You stop at red. Red is survival. That's the base. You stop there. But before you get there, from green, from life, from blossoming, from expression rather than contraction, from expansion rather than contraction, from going rather than being inert, in this traffic light, you're going to have the yellow. There's going to be light. Let there be light. The light will be. Between red and green, there is yellow. So that's the traffic light. And there's so many other things. There are crosswalks. You don't want to cross the street. If you can't just cross the street anyway, especially a busy street, especially in the heart of your city. You can't just have people crossing your emotions and crossing your heart. That's the heart of your city, where your heart is, where your emotions at. And you can't have that crossed. Because that's how people get hit. And that's how accidents happen. Because it's busy in the city, it's busy near the heart. We can wear whatever kind of persona we want to, but as things get close to the heart, it can get busy on a Monday morning. And you have different things going in and out of your heart. The rich people are meeting in the heart of the city. We call it downtown. Rich people meeting in your downtown. Rich philosophies, rich theories, rich practices, rich people, rich influences, influencers are in and out of your city from 9 to 5. You also have people who are not rich. You also have poverty in mass transit going in and out of your city on a bus. They're being bussed in and out too. All of this in and out the heart. And the mind is the cameras. All throughout your city. With your mind, you survey. With your mind, you govern all that's going on within you. Those are the cameras. You have to self-surveil. Self-survey, rather. Surveil is not a word. Self-survey. You have to watch over yourself. Like you have a city full of cameras on every light post, on every tree branch. That's how you have to look over yourself. Because if you're doing that, then privacy and the idea of it won't be as daunting. If you're proud of who you are behind closed doors, the idea of privacy, and this is not condoning the violation of privacy, but the easing of the mind toward the subject of privacy in and out of the city, in and out of traffic. You want to be able to be comfortable both in public and in private. I'll connect that to the living creatures that are described in the scriptures in heaven. They're full of eyes within and without. That's how your city has to be. It has to be full of eyes within and without. Not watching people like Gestapo or watching people like they're under martial law, but just watching. Neighborhood watch, keeping the neighborhood safe, doing your rounds, making sure there's no disturbances, making sure there's no cat stuck in the tree, making sure there's no, you know what I mean? You're just keeping things safe in your city. And allow people to be who they are in your city. And the peace and the spirit of your city is being expressed, and your city becomes your state. Now, your state are the cities around you. Whoever's around you makes up your state. Not state of mind in that regard, but states, cities and towns as individual people. Not everybody has a city soul. Not everybody is as busy natured as a metropolitan area. Some people have a more rural vibe. They're more want to be in the outskirts with acres and acres of land and quiet. And there's nothing wrong with that. The buses may not go out there though. So you in order to get to those levels of peace and expansiveness where you have that space between you as an individual city and the next human being being a city, maybe space between your neighbors, great big front yard, big backyard, 2-car garage, etc., so to speak. It's gonna require though that you move to a level where you have conquered the heart, the busiest part of the city, the part that's stirring. And it's not so much something that you have to conquer as much as you have to feed the right things to it. You have to feed whatever you want to go into your heart, to your heart mentally. You don't take it in. You don't take in everything to keep it. So this is the city. You are a city, and the collection of you and other people make up that state. And then you expand, you get country, etc. Unity starts in the center with the individual human unit, with the person in the mirror. That's where unity starts. You don't drop a pebble into a pond and see ripples coming from the outside. They start from the point of impact, and the point of impact is always you. So run your city. Run your city, because you are your city.